Tang Himene.
Making headlines this hour, Minister Ihosan reveals that 3 foreign firms submit proposals for the development of a central prison complex in Uturu Tilapalo. Minister Shafiu expresses alarm over a steady decline in students qualifying as high achievers despite the government's substantial investment in public education. And Minister Rafiu reveals the government is in the process of designing programs to help local athletes in post-retirement career transition.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Ihosan reveals that 3 foreign firms submit proposals for the development of a central prison complex and Hope Island for the rehabilitation of juvenile offenders in Uturu Tilapalo. The project aims to consolidate the nation's existing prisons in different islands into a central prison and create a dedicated rehabilitation center for minors exposed to criminal environments.
Speaking on PSM News Radya Mirdu program, Minister Ihosan said the project is expected to start by next month. According to the minister, the prison consolidation project will reduce operating costs by 40%, adding that it will streamline prison management to international standards and establish a quality system to rehabilitate offenders. Minister Ihosan revealed that 3 foreign firms are among the 4 that have submitted proposals for the Hope Island and prison complex in Uturu Tilapalo. The minister said the operation of individual prisons poses major challenges, adding that it costs $1,750 to keep a single inmate incarcerated. As prisons are scattered in different islands, transportation, medical treatment, and logistics are also expensive, while staff costs are also higher as individual prisons need to be manned. The Hope Island project will involve dredging 15 hectares of land. The facility will accommodate a total of 700 people, including staff. The facilities will include residential units, an education hub, a training facility, sports facilities, a medical facility, a mosque with a capacity of 700 people, and a community and family area. The government has previously said that children admitted to Hope Island will remain there until they are 18 years old. The facility will offer programs to improve children's behavior, education, training, job experience, and other such opportunities. A total of 30 hectares of land will be dredged for the construction of the prison complex. The complex will include residential units, drug rehabilitation facility, halfway house, education and training facility, a mosque with the capacity of 1,000 people, and a medical unit. The prison complex is aimed at addressing the difficulties currently faced in providing services in different prisons scattered across multiple islands.
Minister of Education Dr. Ismail Shafiu expresses alarm over a steady decline in students qualifying as high achievers, despite the government's substantial investment in public education.
Speaking at the opening phase of the High Achievers Award ceremony, Minister Shafiu spotlighted persistent gaps in student achievement. He noted that a significant portion of pupils continue to fall short of minimum academic benchmarks. He supported this concern by citing examination results from 2013 and 2014, which showed that nearly half of all students failed to pass 5 subjects. That trend, he said, has continued through the past 2 academic years, even as the Education Ministry maintains a baseline requirement of a C pass in at least 5 subjects. subjects. Minister Shafiu noted that the state allocates approximately $259.4 million to the education sector. However, despite the concerted efforts of both teachers and parents, the system has yet to achieve its intended goals. Extending his remarks, the minister noted a pronounced decline in academic performance between secondary and higher secondary levels, particularly during the transition from the General Certificate of Education Ordinary Level or GCE O-Level to the General Certificate of Education Advanced Level or GCE A-Level examinations. The High Achievers Award ceremony held at the Maldives Center for Social Education is unfolding in 5 phases to recognize excellence in the 2023 and 2024 secondary and higher secondary examinations. In the first phase, 440 students were honored, 221 ranked within the top 9, while 219 placed in the top 8 of the secondary examinations. More than 1,800 students are expected to be recognized over the course of this academic year. To address the persistent challenges underscored in his speech, Minister Shafiu outlined several ongoing reforms within the Education Ministry and the education sector. These include professional development for teachers, leadership training for school principals, and curricular adjustments aimed at improving instructional quality and institutional oversight.
Minister of Sports, Fitness and Recreation Abdullah Rafiu reveals the government is in the process of designing programs to help local athletes in post-retirement career transition. Speaking at the handover ceremony of national jerseys to the Under-16 national cricket team, who will take part in the ACC Men's East Zone Cup, the minister noted that education remains as important as sports for athletes. In line with that reasoning, he assured that the government scholarships available to athletes under the Sports Fund will prioritize education along with sports training. According to the minister, the incumbent administration has launched several initiatives to develop local athletes, adding that the programs are being designed to help local athletes make career transitions after their retirement. The minister said this opportunity would be provided for a certain level of national athletes who meet a specific criteria, urging locals to play to the best of their abilities to be eligible for such opportunities. The Ministry of Divihi, Language, Culture and Heritage enters into a formal agreement with the Waste Management Corporation Limited or WAMCO to oversee the cleaning and upkeep of designated historical and archaeological sites, leveraging modern technical resources to ensure their continued preservation. The Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, outlines a strategic collaboration to provide scheduled upkeep for heritage properties located on islands within the corporation's existing service network. As part of this initiative, WAMCO will undertake quarterly inspections and conduct vacuuming of the designated sites. The focus will be on preserving both environmental standards and the visual integrity of structures deemed culturally significant. The Culture and Heritage Ministry framed the agreement as a meaningful example of public sector alignment in heritage protection. Officials noted that the engagement of government-owned companies such as WAMCO reflects a broader institutional commitment to safeguarding the nation's historical assets. Ministry of Finance and Planning figures show the government has spent $123 million more on debt repayment so far this year compared to last year, while continuing to maintain a budget surplus. The ministry's weekly fiscal development report showed that as of June 12th, the state has spent $194.6 million in debt repayment. Debt repayment during the same period last year stood at $71.3 million. Despite the increase in debt repayments, the government's ongoing austerity measures have kept costs down in the first 6 months of the year. The total state expenditure by the 12th of June of $1.3 billion is and 8.7% less than the $1.46 billion during the same period last year. On top of these spending cuts, state revenue and grants increased in the second half of the year. So far this year, $1.1 billion has been received in revenue and grants according to the ministry, which is an increase of 6% from the $1 billion earned during the same period last year. The measures undertaken to reduce government expenditure and increase revenue have contributed to the $84 million budget surplus so far this year. Government expenditure on pensions rises to approximately $116.7 million in 2024, up from $110 million the previous year. According to figures from the National Bureau of Statistics, this represented a year-on-year increase of 6%.
That upward trajectory was evident across all major pension categories, with both retirement and basic benefit schemes contributing to the overall rise. Retirement pensions alone totaled $10.7 million last year, a 13% increase from the $9.47 million dispersed in 2023. Women constituted the majority of recipients in this category, according to data from the Pension Administration Office published by the Bureau. Female beneficiaries received approximately $2.46 million in 2024, up from $1.75 million in the prior year. Allocations from male recipients rose to around $8.17 million from $7.65 million. These distributions fall under the Maldives Retirement Pension Scheme, or MRPS, a defined contribution program codified in the Maldives Pension Act. The scheme requires fixed contributions from both employers and employees, which are invested to build retirement savings over time. Basic pension disbursements also increased, reaching $84.3 million last year, a 7% rise over the $77.8 million paid in 2023. Offered under the age-old basic pension scheme, these benefits are granted to individuals aged 65 and older who are either unemployed or whose retirement savings do not meet minimum adequacy thresholds. In addition to core retirement and basic pensions, the state allocated $23.6 million to other pension-related expenditures in 2024, a slight increase from the $23.2 million reported the year before.
Maldives records an increase in departure tax and airport development fee revenue last year, according to Maldives Inland Revenue Authority, or MIRA, figures, posting a combined $142.7 million.
Departure tax levied since January 2022 on foreign passengers departing from an airport in Maldives, while the airport development fee is charged from every passenger departing from the country's main airport, Vilhena International Airport, or VIA. According to the 2024 annual report of MIRA, the state received $71.3 million, registering 12.1% more than the revenue forecast for the year. In 2023, revenue of $64.1 million in departure tax means last year's earnings were 15% higher. The boost in departure tax revenue was due to an 8.76% increase in the number of tourist arrivals and 10% increase in foreigners departing from airports last year compared to 2023. Revenue forecast from airport development fee in 2024 was $71.3 million, meaning that the actual revenue was 14% higher. In 2024, airport development fee revenue was 14.3% more than the revenue of $64.9 million generated the previous year. Departure tax is $12 for Maldivians traveling in economy class, $30 for foreigners traveling in economy class, $60 for all passengers traveling in business class, $90 for all passengers traveling in first class, and $120 for all passengers traveling on private jets. The MRIA report said the increase in revenue from airport development fees was down to the increase in the number of tourist arrivals. In 2024, a historic 2,046,615 tourists visited the Maldives, an 8.9% increase compared to 2023.
The countdown to the opening of the new passenger terminal at Vilhena International Airport, or VIA, officially begins. The countdown was launched by the airport operator, Maldives Airports Company Limited, or MACL, CEO Ibrahim Sharif Mohammed. The countdown to the opening of the new passenger terminal has been slated for the 26th of July. when the country celebrates its Independence Day. Speaking at the ceremony, Sharif praised the efforts of the MACL staff to speed up the opening of the new passenger terminal. The CEO urged all employees to treat the opening of the new terminal as a national duty by setting an example to the rest of the nation. The current terminal at VIA has the capacity to handle 1.5 million passengers annually, while the Maldives last year hosted over 2 million tourists. Therefore, the airport is currently operating at overcapacity. In stark contrast, the new terminal, encompassing 78,000 square meters, will accommodate over 7 million passengers each year. The terminal is being developed with modern facilities. Markets are closed and dozens of trucks were stranded at Pakistan's Shutdown border with Iran as the key crossing remained shut for a sixth consecutive day, crippling trade and inflicting heavy losses on businesses.
The escalating tensions between Iran and Israel prompted Pakistan to suspend operations at the Shutdown crossing, mirroring the Iranian side's restrictions following Israeli airstrikes. The Shutdown border, a vital trade artery which typically handles daily exchanges in fuel, food, and household goods, is now left paralyzed with dozens of trucks stuck in limbo. Transporters like Syed Khalil Ahmed said they had been stuck for 5 days, losing approximately 20,000 rupees daily per truck while facing critical shortages of essential supplies. Local traders said 90% of goods in Shutdown typically come from Iran. Businessman Haji Shaukat Ali described how the complete border shutdown has no indication when trade might resume.
New wave of missiles from Iran tore through the night skies of Israel and the West Bank as the air attacks between Israel and Iran enters its 9th day.
Israeli military, the Israel Defense Force or IDF, said sirens were sounded in various areas of Israel as operations to intercept the strikes from Iran was underway. The missiles launched against Israel were also seen from several parts of the West Bank. The airstrikes began on June 13th when Israel attacked Iran and has alarmed a region that has been on edge since the start of Israel's war in Gaza in October 2023. Israel is the only country in the Middle East widely believed to have nuclear weapons and said it struck Iran to prevent Tehran from developing its own nuclear weapons. Iran, which says its nuclear program is peaceful, has retaliated with its own strikes on Israel. Iran is a party to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, while Israel is not.
A U.S. judge orders that Columbia University graduate Mahmoud Khalil be immediately released from immigration custody, a major victory for rights groups that challenged what they called the Trump administration's unlawful targeting of a pro-Palestinian activist.
Khalil, a prominent figure in pro-Palestinian protests against Israel's war on Gaza, was arrested by immigration agents in the lobby of his university residence in Manhattan on March 8th. President Donald Trump, a Republican, has called the protests anti-Semitic and vowed to deport foreign students who took part, and Khalil became the first target of this policy. After hearing oral arguments from lawyers for Khalil and for the Department of Homeland Security, U.S. District Judge Michael Farbiarts of Newark, New Jersey, ordered DHS to release him from custody at a jail for immigrants in rural Louisiana. Farbiarts said the government had made no attempt to rebut evidence provided by Khalil's lawyers that he was not a flight risk nor a danger to the public. Khalil, a legal permanent resident of the United States, says he is being punished for his political speech in violation of the United States Constitution's First Amendment. Khalil condemned anti-Semitism and racism in interviews with CNN and other news outlets last year. Earlier this month, Farbiarts had ruled that the government was violating Khalil's free speech rights by detaining him under a little-used law granting the U.S. Secretary of State power to seek deportation of non-citizens whose presence in the country was deemed adverse to U.S. foreign policy interests. But the judge declined on June 13 to order Khalil's release from a detention center in Jena, Louisiana, after after President Donald Trump's administration said Khalil was being held on a separate charge that he withheld information from his application for lawful permanent residency. Khalil's lawyers deny that allegation and say people are rarely detained on such charges. On the 16th of June, they urged Farbiarts to grant a separate request from their client to be released on bail or be transferred to immigration detention in New Jersey to be closer to his family in New York. At Friday's hearing, Farbiarts said it was highly unusual for the government to jail an immigrant accused of omissions in his application for U.S. permanent residency. Khalil, 30, became a U.S. permanent resident last year, and his wife and newborn son are U.S. citizens. Trump administration lawyers wrote in a June 17th filing that Khalil's request for release should be addressed to the judge overseeing his immigration case, an administrative process over whether he can be deported, rather than to Farbiarts, who is considering whether Khalil's March 8th arrest and subsequent detention were constitutional.
Miguel Rojas hit a two-run home run and Clayton Kershaw inched closer to 3,000 career strikeouts as the Los Angeles Dodgers earned a 6-5 victory over the visiting Washington Nationals.
Los Angeles manager Dave Roberts served a one-game suspension after benches cleared without incident in the team's games against the San Diego Padres. Kershaw, 3-0, gave up 2 runs on 5 hits and 2 walks in 5 innings. He fanned 4 to move within 8 of becoming the 20th pitcher with 3,000 strikeouts and the 4th left-hander. Andy Pages had an RBI single in a 3-run third inning, and Shohei Ohtani reached base 3 times with an RBI singles as the Dodgers rebounded from a loss to the San Diego Padres while improving to 9-3 since June 8th. Ahmed Rosario, Riley Adams, and C.J. Abrams homered for the Nationals, who had ended an 11-game losing streak. Rosario gave the Nationals a 1-0 lead as the second batter of the game when he homered off Kershaw, his 4th. The Dodgers took the lead for good in the 3rd. Mookie Betts' fielder's choice grounder scored Enrique Hernandez for a 1-1 tie. Los Angeles took a 2-1 lead on a 2-out infield single from Teoscar Hernandez when shortstop Abrams was unable to get a force out at second base. Pages singled for the 3rd run of the inning. The Dodgers went up 4-1 in the 4th on Ohtani's run-scoring singles. 3rd knocked Washington starter Mackenzie Gore from the game. Gore, 3-7, gave up 6 runs, 5 earned on 7 hits in 5 2 out of 3 innings with 4 walks and 4 strikeouts. The Nationals pulled within 6-4 in the 7th inning on a 2-run double from Luis Garcia Jr. One batter later, with 2 runners in scoring position, Los Angeles left fielder Michael Conforto preserved the lead with a driving catch. Dodgers left-hander Tanner Scott gave up Abrams' home run in the 9th before finishing off his 15th save. The blast was Abrams' 10th of the year.
Brazilian university students participate on a solar-powered sailing competition in the city of Niterói.
Students from the states of Rio de Janeiro, Santa Catarina, and Espírito Santo prepped their solar panel boats on the beach before sending them off to the water, where they would be judged on their technological efficiency, navigation ability, and performance. Participant Moises Moreira, who studies electrical engineering at Fluminense Federal University, said when students receive this information, they start thinking more about the environment. He said they enter the job market already with this awareness of caring about the environment and how it will impact future generations. The event was organized by Rio de Janeiro State sports entity with the sponsorship of Enel Rio Energy Company.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.